A brand new Sword Art Online movie where Kirito becomes an orange player and Asuna must find a way to reach out to him before he takes any more lives or some other players take his. Welcome SAO survivors, it's me Gamerturk, your best source of Sword Art Online information, and this is the very first SAO Explained for Echoes of Aincrad, featuring the companion movie Unanswered Butterfly. Just in case you were living under a rock, some basic information: Bandai Namco announced a new, much more nitty-gritty Souls-like SAO game called Echoes of Aincrad and a companion movie for it called Unanswered Butterfly. Since I know it's a hot topic question nowadays, no, this movie has nothing to do with the main series original movie by A1 Studios, but still, don't underestimate it. It's a full feature-length movie coming at 110 minutes. I was gonna make one SAO Explained for Echoes of Aincrad game trailers and another one for the movie. I asked you guys which one to do first, and a majority of you picked the movie, so here we are, we're starting with the movie. Buckle up, because it'll be a very fun ride trying to piece together what the trailer has given us, with lots of recognizable places for the light novel readers and plot elements. And also, make sure to subscribe to not miss the Echoes of Aincrad Explained for the game side of things, and smash the like button for algorithm, and is for me as well. I like seeing number go up, it helps a lot, so please do that. But we got so much to talk about here. We got an entire movie trailer as well as some additional scenes in the Japanese game trailer on the movie, so I'll be providing potential answers on Kirito's orange status, when this movie takes place, on which floor it will take place, how it may connect to the game or not, Kirito and Asuna's relationship, and how different it may be from the canon progressive series, and many others. So let's jump into it. And let's do that from the little sample from the game trailer version, since it'll be quicker to get into gear with a single scene featuring a key detail here. We briefly see our two new original characters, the red-haired girl being Emirun, an extremely animated and wholesome girl who invited her friend Rex into Sword Art Online before eventually getting stuck there, of course, while Rex is being described as someone who's at the whim of Emirun's requests at all times. However, the key scene in this trailer is the town scene. We see Emirun and Rex having one of their friendly arguments, while the camera pans back a bit and shows us not only Asuna in her usual progressive gear, but also Lisbeth before she dyed her hair upon Asuna's suggestion, but after she got her trademark outfit, apparently, somehow, and that already puts us into a conflict with the main canon on multiple levels. In progressive, as of floor 7 being complete, Asuna has yet to meet Lisbeth at all. While Liz is already acting as an up-and-coming blacksmith, as has been teased by Litten, she has yet to make a single appearance in the progressive light novels. It will make you think then that this actually takes place later in the timeline. However, a lot of things do not quite match, and we have better indications on where it'll all be taking place in the full movie trailer already, but for now, Lisbeth probably did not stick to the same outfit in Aincrad for 2 entire years, since Asuna here has her early progressive outfit as well. Same can be said for Kirito too. You can see him in the Code of Midnight, or at least something adjacent to it, potentially a slight variation for Echoes of Aincrad at most, and his trusty anneal blade that he uses from floor 1 through floor 3. That is our first real indication of the placement of the movie, despite the Lisbeth conflict here. She's probably only appearing as additional fan service. And without talking much about the Kirito scene here, we'll move on to the full movie trailer, since it'll give a lot more context to the short snippets I glossed over here. We start in the real world with Emirun introducing Rex to Sword Art Online, and of course the beginning of the death game right after, Kayaba's speech, etc. We see Emirun in her in-game avatar, so maybe she has that color in real life as well. We don't quite get to see because it's covered by the nerve gear. We also see a butterfly decor on her armband. The butterfly is important, pay attention to it if it wasn't clear from the title of the movie, Unanswered Butterfly. Although it kinda does stand out to me that Rex is not next to her during Kayaba's speech, maybe obscured by the guy to the left, or maybe they just did not find each other just yet in the early portion of the game. We see a guy getting shattered into polygons, looks like a forest area, but I'm not gonna assume this is Kirito Kirito going for a PK, even though it looks similar of a setting to that scene with the lighting as well. We'll talk about the forest shortly anyways for our main location. But then we see Emirun at a nighttime in a forest holding her nicely decorated red sword, and I got so much to say about this scene, but the majority of it has to come a little later. For now, you can notice her sword and of course the added large butterfly ornament on the back of her head, in addition to the one on her armband, which we see her choosing with Rex in a later scene in the trailer. And on that note, if we go back to the Lisbeth shot, Emirun does not yet have the hair butterfly either, so it's likely a very early scene as well. This one right here is definitely later in the movie, but how late? I'll keep you wondering a bit. She is facing this huge Chimera-like monster, could be slightly later in the same scene as the earlier one. We see her scared, but no scratch mark effects on her just yet, whereas with the Chimera, she's quite roughed up already. We'll get back to the Chimera later with a wild theory that I'm not 100% committed to, but it will start making more and more sense as we ease into it through these scenes. Next up, we see the best indication of exactly where we are. A gravestone for the 6 players acting as scouts who have lost their life, supposedly at the hands of Kirito on the 3rd floor at a location light novel readers will absolutely recognize. The full name is not quite visible, it's blocked off, but you all know where it is. The Forest of Wavering Mists. Though I have reasons to think this gravestone is kind of a flash forward, a little monument built after the entire PKer Kirito mystery has been resolved. Next up, we have even more indications that this is indeed floor 3. We have these large spider monsters spawning in, which there are plenty, including multiple spider field bosses on floor 3, some of them we already encountered in the progressive light novels as well. And then we see a scene of an incident. It may be a PK incident, it may not. I literally can't say because either this is edited very intentionally or actually specifically rendered without a key element to obscure it, to not feature it, since this guy over here actually dies without any impact. I went frame by frame here, he just reacts and explodes. Nothing is hitting him in this scene. And we have this player potentially surviving to tell the tale, or maybe not. But overall, the scene is edited as if it's the same scene as the spider spawning. In fact, we know it's the spiders, unlike what I was teasing at previously, because the entire group is circling around their friend to form a protective layer, while also looking all around, indicating numerous enemies, not just one. But still, it's portrayed like it's the PK incident solely by Kirito, which it is not. And at this point, if you've been paying attention to my hints, maybe a different picture, a different narrative is starting to form in your head. If not, let's keep going. Next up, we got our first proper introductions to Emirun and Rex with their name cards, and we get some fight scenes up next alongside some training montage, which seems like floor 1 with the boar, so early days likely. Emirun also does not have the hair butterfly here yet, followed by a setting where they are eating a lot of meat, potentially indicating some floor 2 scenes perhaps, alongside background decoration that gives cow/bull vibes, but it also could be floor 3, based on the amount of wooden architecture looking at the scene after. Before we get to floor 3, of course, we then get to see Rex lifting up a large butterfly decoration up to Emirun's face, which is where I imagine she gets the hair decoration. Then we get a quick cut, we arrive at floor 3 for sure, where Asuna initiates a duel with Emirun. This is our first look at Zoomfoot ever, the main settlement of floor 3 with its iconic tree houses. Interesting choice though, because in the main canon, the first time Asuna ever experiences a duel is floor 5, after Kirito wants her to practice it after the proto-laughing coffin appearance with Morta and Joey, but she cancels the duel seconds before the countdown hits 0 out of fear. Again, another stark difference here to the main canon. But I guess the main point remains the same, that it is a practice. Emirun also does not have her butterfly yet, so early in the movie, I presume. Then a quick cut of someone shattering into polygons to the side of Rex. Those gauntlets and coat is a match. Oh, and also, over this shot, Rex mentions how his body just freezes when in fear. Yes, I have the full trailer translated by Chimera, so thanks to him a lot as well. I just didn't have time to edit it, but I have all the text with me. It's not quite explicit, so I don't want to make a definitive statement here, but Rex may be indicating having a case of full dive nonconformity here, FNC for those who recognize the abbreviation from progressive or hopeful chant. And another cut of a guy getting killed as well, almost at full sunset. It's absolutely between the PKer Kirito shot and the earlier shot here based on the orangeness of the light, and he's the guy to the right in the previous shot too. We then have something like a guild meeting here, an informal one potentially, and the players are chatting about how the black swordsman has done some PKing. It's Emirun and Rex in the middle, but the other players are not quite recognizable from here. At the very least, they're not Lind or Kibao, that much I can say. It's probably Rex telling them what he saw with Kirito. And of course, we get the scene with Kirito as well. This is probably Rex and Emirun's perspective from the other trailer. We also get to see Kirito turn around with an angry look. But I'll talk more about this specifically at the end. And then we loop back all around to a nighttime scene in the Forest of Wavering Mists with Emirun facing an incredibly smug acting Kirito. Again, put that scene in your pocket, we're returning to this later. Then a couple of scenes furthering the Beater has dabbled in PKing shenanigans that's going on. We get a scene of Emirun crying, asking about where everyone went. This is likely late in the movie, in a safe zone in the middle of Forest of Wavering Mists, either before or after Emirun's encounter with the Chimera, asking where everyone went. We don't know what those mini pillar things are, but they're original to Echoes of Aincrad. We've seen them in the game trailers as well. It looks like people are activating them for whatever reason, potentially teleport stones that players activate, which makes sense given this is a safe zone, at least for Echoes of Aincrad. Such teleport gates do not exist in main canon Aincrad, aside from the main settlements of each floor for floor teleportation. And of course, the shot of Asuna being shocked to learn about Kirito's circumstances. Now, here, you need to think for yourself a bit. Asuna absolutely would not believe that Kirito is behind this, and after hearing what happened, she likely would try to contact Kirito herself, but receives no response. She'd most certainly try to contact Argo next, and either she knew nothing about it, or she was not responding either. Both right now are additional hints for you to add to your pocket for now, even though they're assumptions. We're almost there. Following the idols in the chorus who sing the theme song of the movie, we see Rex and Emirun being saved by an evil Suicune and Raikou by Iori, our partner character from Echoes of Aincrad. So we are having some sort of a tie-in, pretty much confirmed, but don't expect like a plot follow-up or anything. We then see Kirito with his orange cursor, that is real, attacking Emirun at sunset. Checking Emirun's hair for time reference, and she indeed does not have the butterfly yet. This is very likely happening right after they see Kirito do the PK. He turns around and sees them and is completely separate from their nighttime encounter where Emirun has her red sword and the butterfly instead. And that sunset versus nighttime makes a huge difference. Are your pockets full yet with all of these hints? We see Kirito breaking the early sword of Emirun here in the scene. Initially, I thought it was really Kirito doing this, trying to make sure Emirun is unharmed while disarming her to make his escape afterwards, but my opinion has changed with this new theory I have. I think Emirun was really lucky here that she got away with her sword getting broken. We then see the Echoes of Aincrad crew saving Rex from the larger and angrier evil Suicune that he's seen fighting seemingly alone in a later shot and without a weapon at hand, using, throwing daggers. Iori is rushing to the left, and the girl and the guy we see in the Abeshi key visual for the game are taking the fight to the monster here as well. We also see Asuna join in using Iori's shield as a grapple to launch from as well, which admittedly looks a bit cheesy from this angle with this animation. But in the next cut, we see Asuna and Emirun fighting instead. The butterfly is there. I like to think this is before Emirun's encounter with Kirito at night, as well as the Chimera. Asuna is perhaps in the process of figuring something out, or has already figured it out, but Emirun does not believe her and wants to pursue Kirito instead, while Asuna wants to protect him because she knows Kirito she knows is still very much the Kirito she knows. We see the moment of Emirun and or Rex materializing all their inventory. Probably Emirun is doing this at this point. Perhaps the equipment of all the killed players from before. She has the butterfly, so definitely later in the movie. The purpose? Not sure. It looks like Emirun is confronting Rex about something here, or perhaps they're both angry about the situation. The fact that this is late in the movie throws me off for a loop here, that I can't exactly be sure about the motivation of the scene. We even see her angrily throwing an urn and a bottle at Rex at the end. Following the scene of Rex fighting evil Suicune alone without a weapon and a throwing knife, we have Kirito running towards an enemy and Emirun going for a slash as well. It's deceptively edited though. Kirito 1 is clearly the scene in the forest during the sunset, whereas Emirun appears to be at a ruin, likely the fight against the evil Suicune. But with the trailer coming to an end with the crying scene of Emirun, it's time to bring out everything you put in your pocket so far. Before analyzing the trailer carefully, my initial thought was that Kirito indeed did some PKing, but it was likely against some MPKers or monster player killers for those who don't know. These players who ambush others by using trap type mobs, getting them killed by those monsters, thus maintaining their green cursor while being able to still loot whatever they have dropped. And thus, if Kirito were to kill them, it would give Kirito the orange cursor as well, because they would be remaining as green. After all, we do see him with an actual orange cursor in this trailer already, actively fighting against the movie's main characters. It's not a hallucination, it's not just the imagination, it is happening. So it's not some vision based on rumors or anything. And yes, there are no red cursors for players in Aincrad. It's always been like that. Red is reserved for monsters. I'll make a separate shorts video for it because so many people think orange is merely for injuring a green player and red is for killing. No, that is not the case. Any criminal activity turns you orange. And you know, Kirito leaning into his Beater persona, I thought he just could not be bothered to explain himself towards people aggressively coming at him, hence dueling Emirun and breaking a sword intentionally so that the confrontation ends and he can leave. But I did have a vague suspicion when it came to the Forest of Wavering Mists, and the more carefully I inspected the trailer, the more evidence for a wild theory appeared. You see, Forest of Wavering Mists is a very treacherous location that acts as a trap for unsuspecting players. Your map does not function properly inside the forest, and it is filled with elements that aim to drag you off the beaten path and then ambush you with its various elements. And while I'm not fully committed to the theory, as I said at the beginning, it's a wild one considering I based it on a single trailer so far, but it could be that the Chimera Emirun is facing in the forest at nighttime is a field boss that acts as a shapeshifter type enemy that takes the form of a player, in this case Kirito. I think the best way to put the pieces together is to establish the chronology of the scenes we are given. It all starts with the group of players at early sunset, still a healthy amount of bright light, not fully saturated orange. We see the spiders spawning in here, typical of floor 3, and based on the fact that all these players circle around their friend and are looking in different directions, indeed indicates they have numerous enemies to deal with. They're not being attacked by Kirito, who would have been a single target, they're being attacked by the spiders here. But then, we see a player die with a slashing attack, and then we see Kirito, in quotes, brooding over the shattered polygons from the perspective of someone hiding. It's probably that last player of the group who hid away during the confrontation, and Rex and Emirun come around at this point to see the event. The sunset has progressed fairly at this point, with the lighting a lot more orange compared to before. The Kirito turns around to find the hiding player, and Emirun and Rex are either too late or simply fail to protect the player, and the player dies next to Rex. Remember when Rex mentioned how his body freezes up in fear back in the trailer that I mentioned? That's likely why he fails, and right after, it's exactly why we see only Emirun trying to fight Kirito all on her own, again during sunset with still orange light around. Then whatever happens, and Emirun and Rex manage to escape safely and tell the story of Kirito PKing a group of people. The word reaches Asuna eventually, and she cannot believe it. Now, what do you think Asuna would do in this case, having spent the end of floor 1 as well as the entire floor 2 with Kirito already? She would surely message Kirito, right? But she probably receives no answer from him. In that case, what would she do next immediately? Contact Argo, and there would theoretically be no good reason for Argo to not answer, and she would absolutely have a clue about what's going on. And if she doesn't, she'd be investigating, of course, and still try to respond to Asuna that she's looking into it. Like, she would never not be answering Asuna in this case. And the fact that she's investigating, that would certainly be no reason for Asuna to give in to despair and actually believe it was Kirito doing the PKs. But what if both of them were not responding? The thing is, the first time Asuna learns about limitations of the messaging or the party/friend tracking system is floor 5. 2 floors into the future of where they are right now. She would simply have no clue why she was not receiving any answers or why she was not able to track them at all. Seeing that, she may easily give in to fear like she did back then or forward then on floor 5. Is that a thing? I think the real reason this Kirito situation gets out of hand is because Argo and Kirito themselves are investigating a certain boss or a quest line that leads to the boss and are stuck somewhere where they cannot contact outside, and instead this shapeshifter Chimera is going around as Kirito during daytime, commanding monsters as a field boss, hence the spiders in the Forest of Wavering Mists, and also attacking players. And that's how Emirun and Rex get away in their initial encounter. It was pretty late during sunset already once Emirun's sword broke. She no longer had a way to engage with the Chimera Kirito, but Chimera Kirito had to fall back itself because it would transform once the sun set. And that brings us to the later confrontation. I can hear you asking, well, that second encounter is taking place at night and we see Kirito there as well, and you would be right, but what else do you see there? We see Emirun dueling Asuna seemingly in a cave, hence it's dark inside but there's still white light coming from the outside indicating it's still daytime. She then goes after Kirito into the Forest of Wavering Mists, and Kirito seemingly is not even fighting her at this point. Do you see? It's just taunting her. Chances are she chased Kirito for a while and found him very early into the night. We see her extending her new red sword towards Kirito, the same one she fought against Asuna with. However, Kirito is like, come at me bro, that doesn't even have his weapon drawn. But when we cut to Emirun in the next shot, she isn't angry as you'd expect from someone in her situation. She just went through the entire forest to challenge Kirito. She would be angry, right? But she isn't. Because at this point, she isn't chasing or heading towards her enemy. She is actively looking scared and is in the process of backing up from him, very shakily waving her sword as if trying to intimidate it to stand back. However, at this point, she has no indication on her avatar that she's been in a fight at all. But the next cut, it's Emirun completely cornered, looking up at the Chimera with damage markers all over her avatar. What I think is, She's backing up because it's when the Chimera returns to its original form and starts approaching her, and since she is in the Forest of Wavering Mists, at night no less, she cannot find her way out or escape the Chimera and is stuck fending for herself, not very successfully from the looks of it. And you know, in a perfect world, the perfect conclusion would be Kirito, Argo, and a certain dark elf coming to her rescue at the last second. One can dream, right? It's probably either gonna be Asuna or Kirito who manages to save Emirun, but you know, a surprise Kismel appearance would absolutely be scream-worthy after such a roller coaster that the thought alone gets me excited. And making this SAO Explained video was surely a roller coaster on its own for me as the new theories spawned in my head, so I hope you enjoyed it, I sure as hell did. Remember, the Unanswered Butterfly movie is coming out with the Ultimate Edition of Echoes of Aincrad on July 9 or 10 depending on your region. Links down below in the description, look forward to it. Next up is the SAO Explained for the Echoes of Aincrad trailers. Make sure to subscribe to not miss that and smash the like button and hype this video so the algorithm knows you're interested in these. As always, thank you very much for watching and I'll see you all later. Until then, stay cool.